Welcome to The Explainer. You know, there's this invisible language that shapes everything you watch online. Today, we're going to break down the science of how videos grab your attention, like really grab it, and just refuse to let go.
So let's just start with this question. Why is it so hard to look away? I mean, you know that feeling, right? You just plan to watch one short video, and then boom, an hour is gone. It's not about willpower. It's because your attention is being actively and very cleverly engineered.
And yeah, the science totally backs this up. Check this out. The Nielsen-Norman group. These are some big deal researchers. They used eye tracking to literally see where we look. And what they found is fascinating. Our eyes are, well, they're constantly searching. On average, we scan a screen every 2.8 seconds, just looking for something new, something interesting, basically any reason to stay put.
And that little 2.8-second window, it's everything. I mean, according to YouTube's own Creator Insider, a whopping 70% of us decide if we're going to stick with a video in the first 5 seconds. 5 seconds. If you don't hook someone by then, poof, they're gone.
So you see, capturing and holding on to that attention isn't some kind of accident or magic trick. Nope, it's a very deliberate strategy, and it's all rooted in how our brains are wired. It's all governed by this one simple but super powerful principle.
And that brings us to what we're here to talk about, the 3-second rule. Think of it as the secret sauce of high-retention editing. The rule is simple. To keep our eyes glued to the screen, you have to throw in something new, a cut, a sound, a graphic, before our brain's little attention timer runs out. It's basically a preemptive strike against boredom and the scroll.
This totally reframes the whole idea of editing, right? I love this quote from Perfect Corp. Editing, therefore, isn't decoration, it's neuroscience. It just hits the nail on the head. It's not about making things look pretty, it's about applied brain science. It's about knowing our cognitive triggers and using them to guide the entire experience.
Okay, so what does this something new actually look like, in the real world? It's probably not as complicated as you're thinking. Let's open up the editor's toolkit and see the actual techniques they use to keep us all locked in.
The whole idea here is to create this constant stream of low-level novelty. And we're talking about stuff you see all the time. Things like jump cuts and punch-ins, pattern interrupts, some dynamic B-roll, on-screen text, and of course, those super important sound cues. Each one is just a little tool designed to do one thing: reset that 3-second clock in our brains.
All right, let's start with the most common one, the jump cut. Its job is super simple. Get rid of every single frame that doesn't add value. All those awkward pauses, the ums and ahs, even the breaths, they're just gone. This makes the pace feel tight, keeps the momentum going, and stops our attention from dipping even for a millisecond.
Next up, we've got the punch-in. This is just a quick little zoom, usually like 10 or 15%, but it's so powerful. It's a great way to add emphasis to a specific word or to highlight someone's reaction. It just creates a tiny bit of motion that breaks up a static shot and basically tells your brain, hey, pay attention to this part.
And then you have text overlays and graphics. These are awesome because they make a different part of your brain fire up. So while you're listening to me talk, you're also reading. It's this multi-layered thing that adds clarity, hammers home the key points, and, you guessed it, acts as another great pattern interrupt. But maybe the most powerful tool in this entire kit is audio. Seriously, sound design is not just background music. George Lucas famously said sound is 50% of the movie-going experience, and he was right. One well-placed sound effect can completely change the way we see something. Hey, come on, is there a better example than the Vine boom? That sound has basically become an audio emoji. It's like this auditory exclamation point. It's a Pavlovian trigger that just instantly tells our brain a punchline or a big reveal or some moment of shock just happened. You hear that sound, and you immediately know something important just went down.
So you can see this isn't just some niche editing trick. This super fast 3-second style has become the actual language of online video. It's everywhere. And the big question is, why? I mean, what happened to make this the new normal?
Well, you only have to look at how internet humor has evolved to get the picture. Think back, a decade or so ago, memes were pretty simple. Remember the dancing baby from way back in '96? Now the internet is dominated by something they call 21st century humor. And it's defined by its just chaos, rapid-fire montages, crazy sound effects, and just overwhelming speed. The pace is accelerated so much it's almost unrecognizable. And there are really 3 big forces driving this whole thing. First, you've got the algorithms on these platforms. They reward videos that keep you watching longer. so good retention means more views. Second, it's crowded out there. Creators have to get more and more extreme just to stand out from the noise. And third, and this is the wild part, it's our own brain chemistry. All this constant stimulation can lead to something called dopamine downregulation. Basically, it means we need a bigger, faster, crazier hit just to feel that same little spark of interest we used to. We're literally building up a tolerance, which is why that "where did the last hour go" feeling is so common. And what's really fascinating, maybe a little scary, is how intentional all this chaos is. The most extreme videos out there are literally engineered to overwhelm you. They use visual noise, like crazy filters. They throw in information clutter, the red circles and arrows. And they even use sensory violations, like super loud, distorted audio. The psychological goal of all this? To trigger your fight or flight response, to make it literally impossible for you to look away.
All of this brings us to a really crucial point. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset, the difference between just editing and truly engineering an experience for the viewer.
So what separates an amateur from a pro? It's not about using more crazy effects. Actually, it's usually the opposite. It all comes down to intention. See, an amateur just assembles clips together. A pro crafts an emotional narrative. An amateur might cut randomly, just to keep things moving. A pro adjusts the tempo to match the feeling of the moment. For a pro, every single choice, every cut, every sound, every transition, it all serves the story and, most importantly, respects your time as a viewer. And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. The 3-second rule, it's an incredibly powerful tool. There's no denying that. But as these psychological tricks get used with more and more precision, it kind of forces us, all of us viewers and creators, to ask a tough question. Where do we draw the line between just masterful storytelling and straight-up manufacturing addiction?